Who here has been to Vrindavan, to India? Some of you. Who would like to go to Vrindavan? There's Vrindavan, and then there's Vraja. Vraja is the larger area, which actually extends through 3 of India's states or provinces. And in the larger area, Vraja, there is one hill. And we are knowing this hill as Govardhana Hill. And today we are celebrating what is called Govardhana Puja. What does puja mean? Puja is a word that sometimes is translated as worship. The Indologists who study language, Sanskrit language, they wonder, they say this word is not an ordinary Sanskrit word. And so they wonder what it's based on. And there's different theories. And one of them is that it comes from pushpa. Pushpa means flowers. And one of the things that are, one of the items which are offered in traditional worship in India are flowers. Why offer flowers? You might say, why not? Flowers are very nice. When you meet someone that you like, someone you appreciate, it's common to give flowers, isn't it? In so many cultures. And wow, even flower garlands. I got a flower garland. And sometimes the flowers will even have some aroma. Well, something's almost there. When I was a small child, I remember, some of us who are older, you may remember when flowers had nice... But anyway, puja, offering of worship. Worshipping Govardhan? You mean worshipping a mountain? Yes. Now, let us go back in time. Let us go back in time to the time of Krishna. It is said that Krishna appeared in this world at the beginning, not at the beginning, before the beginning of the present age. What is the present age? It is called the age of Kali. Sometimes said to be the age of quarrel, the time of so many troubles. That's another subject which we don't want to go into now because it's too depressing. And we have a lot to be happy about also in this age of Kali. A lot means one thing, and this age we can all carry a kind of spiritual umbrella, and that is the umbrella of the holy names of the Lord. It is said, Kalim sabhajayantyarya gunagya saravagina yatra sankirtanenaiva sarva svarta abhilavyate. In this age of Kali, the sages, those who are gunagya, those who know what's good, what are good qualities, what are auspicious things. Yatra sankirtanena eva, they say that there's a particular activity in this age which makes up for all of the trouble. Yatra sankirtanenaiva sarva sva-artha. Artha means value. We are in this world today, we are concerned about having something of value, and we may think of money when we think of value. Or in Antwerp, we may think of diamonds, right? But there's two kinds of value, right? There's the kind that you can measure through with something like money or jewels or whatever. And there's another kind of value which you cannot measure. It's like we speak of the value of human life. Right? It's not something that you can measure in terms of money. And sva-artha, sva means oneself or one's own. So sva-artha means anything which is valuable to you. And what is most valuable? What is it that is most valuable to us? You may say, well, it's our life. But this life, we all know, sooner or later, it's going to be taken away from us, right? Whether we like it or not. Will there be anything remaining after this body is taken away? Yes. That we understand from Krishna. He's explaining these things in the Gita. Anyway, Krishna is reported to have appeared before the beginning of this age, and it's said that when he departed from this world, or seemed to depart, that's when this age began. And that's, according to some, calculated to have been some more than 5,000 years ago. That's quite some time ago. Does anyone remember 5,000 years ago? Not just now. Anyway, long ago Krishna appeared. And where did he appear? He appeared in Vraja, and then he lived particularly in the area called Vrindavan. And he spent a lot of his time around this hill called Govardhana. What did he do there? Krishna was having a very good time as a child. He was taking care of, first he was taking care of the calves. What's the word for calf in Dutch?
Kalf.
Kalf. Kalf. Yeah, it's first the kalf, and then what's the koe?
Koe.
Then the koe. Koe for plural. Many koe is koe. Koeien. Okay. Yeah, so he and his friends, they would spend all day with the cows, and they would also have a lot of fun. They would play games, they would joke with each other. Sometimes they would make little dances, and they would sing. And of course, Krishna would also play his flute. Krishna is famous for his flute playing, right? Everybody knows Krishna plays a flute. But do we know how expert he was at playing a flute? Very expert, so expert that he could attract everyone who heard the flutes. They would drop everything they were doing and they would come running to Krishna just because of his flute playing. So like this, so many activities they were doing. One day, when Krishna and Balaram were with their friends, Krishna was around 7 years old. Do you remember being 7 years old? Not so much. Kind of some vague idea is there. One thing I remember about being 7 years old is that I couldn't wait until I was 8 years old. And then I couldn't wait until I was 9 years old. And I remember when I was about 4 years old, there was a girl in the neighborhood. She was 13 years old. And I thought, wow, she's grown up. So 7 years old, we may be impatient. Krishna was not impatient, but at the same time, he was a curious person. When you're 7 years old, you're curious, isn't it? You want to know what's happening, what's going on around you, and you're asking a lot of questions. 7-year-olds can ask more questions than their parents can answer, right? As soon as the parents answer all the questions, then comes another question. Well, it was like that with Krishna as well. Are we doing okay with my English? And yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm too fast, you slow me down. Or if there's something unclear, you just stop me and we'll try to clarify. So, Krishna is curious about something that his father and his father's friends are doing. What are they doing? That's what he wants to know. They're making some special kind of arrangements, and he doesn't know what's going on. So he asks his father, "What is this you're doing? Is this standard? Is this something you're just making up?" It looked like they were preparing for some kind of ceremony. But what was it? And at first, Nanda Maharaj, Krishna's father, wouldn't answer. He was too busy. They had to prepare. Finally, he agreed to say something, and what he said was, "We're preparing a puja, not just puja, but a yagya, which is more elaborate. It involves lighting a fire. It involves many priests, brahmins. Some of these yagyas can be extremely elaborate. And we're preparing this as a way of honoring Lord Indra." Who is Indra? Well, we usually don't spend a lot of time thinking about Indra nowadays. He hasn't been very popular in the last few centuries, you could say. But you could identify him with storms. Sometimes you get rather strong storms here. Sometimes not, but sometimes maybe. And now that there's climate change, there are coming more and more heavy storms. One day, who knows, maybe Holland will just go underwater because it's it's so low altitude, right? Lower than sea level. Yeah, the whole country.
No,
Almost.
A lot of it.
Limburg, no.
So who is making all that rain? In the Veda, it's understood that that is Indra. So he's a kind of storm deva, storm divinity. And so Nanda is explaining to his little boy, to Krishna, that we do this worship, this ritual for Indra because we depend on him. If we don't get rain, we're in big trouble. And if we don't please him by worshiping, then he's not going to be inclined to give us rain. Well, Krishna listened to all this and he just kind of shook his head and said, "No, I'm not convinced." And then he proceeded to give several very interesting arguments, and we don't have time to go into that. It's explained in the Bhagavatam. He gave about 6 different arguments of why it's not necessary to worship Indra. essentially what he's saying is we don't really depend on him. What really matters is our own karma. Karma, of course, means action, and when there is action, what is there? There's reaction. Yeah. So he was saying we just act in a proper way as cowherds do, and then everything will be arranged. And if you're still concerned that there's need for somebody to be satisfied, so that everything will be provided, Krishna said, don't worry, we're going to, instead of worshipping Indra, we're going to worship Govardhana. Now, you and I were probably going to think, well, this sounds like some very archaic type of religion, worshipping a hill or a mountain. We hear about ancient cultures doing such primitive things as worshipping mountains, right? So it's Krishna telling his father to revert to a more primitive form of religion. Well, whether he is or whether he's not, Nanda, his father, doesn't seem really concerned, nor does he seem to care very much about all these technical arguments that Krishna makes about karma and action and reaction. And he uses some other technical terms. He says, But first Nanda says, okay, we'll do that. We'll worship Govardhana Hill. Why not? But before we do that, let's worship Indra as we traditionally do. And Krishna said, there's a problem with that idea. What's that? The problem is, if we use all the paraphernalia, all this, what you've brought together for worshiping Indra, then there's nothing going to be left to worship Govardhana. So I propose we just take all this paraphernalia. It's all here. Everything's here. You've already gathered everything. Very convenient. So now let's just take it and worship Govardhana. Somehow or other, Nanda was convinced. Mainly, it seems, or maybe we should say exclusively, he was convinced because Krishna, this 7-year-old boy, was so sweet and so cute, and he was smiling so charmingly. Nanda just couldn't resist. Okay, Krishna, whatever you want. In any case, he thought, all right, we'll try that once. Let's see what happens. Well, what's going to happen? That's not quite what anyone expected, except maybe Krishna. Okay, so then Krishna gives detailed instructions about how to make this worship, and the main feature about this puja is something called annakuta. The word anna in Sanskrit can mean food in general, or it can mean food grains like wheat, rice, and so on. Because food grains like bread and such, legumes, that's considered food. That's something you can really, live from. So the word anna comes to also just mean food. And kuta means hill or mountain. So there's one mountain, Govardhana, and Krishna tells his friends, tells all the residents of Braja, Vrindavan, let's make another hill of food. And let's offer the hill of food to Govardhana. Okay, so they gather everything, and all the ladies are cooking, and they make wonderful things, and they make stacks and stacks. They don't just make one kuta, they make many kutas of food. And they bring it all before Govardhan. And the Brahmins, the priests, are chanting mantras. Om Sahasrajir Shah Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabumim Vishvato Vritva Atyatishtatta Shangulam. And they're ringing bells and they're offering incense. And it's all very exciting things going on. And also the cows are all there, and everyone's all dressed up in their finest clothes, and they circumambulate Govardhan Hill. And it's all, and as they're making this food offering, then something very interesting happens. You could say something a bit extraordinary. And that is that suddenly a giant form appears. Govardhan takes a form of a person, like a giant, not a monster, but it was like Krishna, but 100 times bigger. And he was standing there, and everyone's looking up, and they're all looking. He's looking down, and they're all looking up. And Krishna, who is now in two forms simultaneously, little Krishna, offers obeisance. He bows down to the big Krishna. So you have the supreme personality of Godhead, worshipping the supreme personality of Godhead. And then the big Krishna sits down and he begins to eat. He's very big, and he has a big mouth, and he eats very quickly, and within a short time, that kuta, or the many kutas, they're gone. But now, the big Krishna is still hungry. He says, Ani or, which in Hindi or Braj Bhasha means bring more. And now all the Brajvasis are panicking because they've already offered everything. There's nothing left. And they say to him, but we've already offered you everything. And he just keeps saying, Ani or. And then one Brahmin goes, bling, he has an idea. He goes to a tulsi plant and he picks tulsi manjaris and he runs up the hill to embodied Govardhan Krishna, and he offers the tulsi, and he takes and he puts in his mouth and he says, Santushtosmi, I am completely satisfied. So this plant, tulsi, tulasi, sacred basil, is considered a very holy plant. If you offer it to Krishna, he'll be very satisfied. And as soon as he took the tulsi, then all of the food which had disappeared into him became again re-manifest. And so all of the kutas of food again re-manifest, so that everyone could have a nice feast. And so many nice preparations, which were now prasad, which were sanctified food. But now is when the trouble begins. Because what was all of this about? It was about neglecting Indra. Now, at this point, Indra has become very disturbed. Indra is very powerful, and he doesn't like it when he is neglected. And so, he wants to show the residents of Vrindavan, he wants to teach them a lesson. Indra has various ways of showing his power. And the way which we're most familiar with is clouds. Should we move more this way to make more space?
Yeah, if you
Krishna has, not Krishna, Indra has a whole arsenal. You know the word arsenal? Arsenal?
Arsenal, same word.
Yes, he has a whole arsenal of clouds of different rank. And the biggest and the most powerful clouds are the Samvartaka, mega. Indra is known as Megavan, as the Lord of Clouds. And he has his Samvartaka clouds. Now, these clouds are conscious clouds, and so they receive orders from Indra to go to Raja and to inundate Raja, but they're quite hesitant to do this. They think this may not be a good idea. After all, this is Raja, the residents of Raja. They have some idea, they're special. But Indra says, don't worry, I'll be there with you. And so Indra will be coming on his celestial elephant, his heavenly elephant, Airavata. Then the trouble begins. They start dumping rain. We say in English, like cats and dogs. What do you say in Dutch?
Pijpenstelen.
Same thing. Like cats and dogs.
Pijpenstelen.
Pijpenstelen.
Pijpenstelen means like long.
Oh, like long pipes, something, yes.
Yeah.
So like this, the rain is coming down, and also the wind is blowing, it's cold. It's a horrible situation. It's not only that, but also hail is coming. What do you call hail? How? Yeah. And we all know how dangerous this can be. So it's going on like this. It's to such an extent that everyone becomes desperate. And what do? What do the friends of Krishna do when they are in trouble? Krishna, Krishna, Mahabahu. They call out, "Oh Krishna, oh Krishna, who is Mahabahu, who has strong arms." And this is appropriate to call him this in this situation. Krishna, of course, knows everything that's going on, and he also knows now is his time to teach Indra the lesson which he has been wanting to teach him. Namely, he wants to reduce his pride. And so Krishna says, all right, no worries, as they say in Australia, no worries. And Krishna immediately goes to Govardhana Hill, and by his unlimited and inconceivable Shakti, Shakti means power, he takes one hand, it's his left hand. Normally in Indian culture you don't want to do things so much with your left hand because it's considered muchi, not clean. In any case, this time Krishna extends out his left hand, somehow he gets it underneath the middle of the hill, and proceeds to lift it up, to lift the hill. It's described in the Bhagavatam as a child would pluck a mushroom with so little effort. A few days ago at Radhadesh, I went for a walk in the forest. There's so many mushrooms coming up now. So Krishna lifted and held on his hand above his head making of this Govardhan hill a huge umbrella. Now still, everyone is outside of the circumference. All of the the residents are outside, and they're looking at Krishna lifting this hill, and they're going, "What? What is going on?" But it's raining like anything outside, and Krishna says with his right hand, in India, when you want to gesture for someone to come near to you, you do like this with the right hand. Don't do it with your left hand, that's impolite. And don't do like this, do like this. So Krishna is going, aye, come, come. And so he assures them, don't worry, I will keep the hill aloft. They're not entirely convinced, but they come in, and many of the cowherd boys and cowherd men think, well, Krishna, this is a very heavy hill, we need to help him. So all the cowherd boys and cowherd men, they have their cowherd stick. It's a big vetra, it's called. And so, okay, Krishna's there, but they're all holding with their sticks like this. Sometimes you'll see pictures of cowherd boys all like this. And then they start to think that they're actually holding Govardhan Hill. And Krishna knows that that's what they're thinking. And so what does he do? He starts to lower, he starts to let go, and they're going, ah! And then Krishna goes, that's all right. By now, he's holding it on his little finger. Because according to Sanatana Goswami, although the Bhagavatam says that he's holding with his hand, he says at one point, Mother Yashoda, who is like this, watching Krishna and full of, great anxiety, just for some fun, Krishna, to reassure her, well, it's like this on his hand. At one point he goes, he holds it on his little finger. See, Ma? No problem. Now, this is going on not for 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes or even 2 hours. This is going on for 7 days and 7 nights. 7 days and 7 nights, and all during this time, no one feels hungry, no one feels tired, no one has to go to the bathroom. and what has happened? Krishna has created from the underside of the temple, he has underside of the hill, he has created a temple. He has created a temple to himself, where all the devotees finally, after all this time, they've been waiting now, approximately 7 years, to really just look at Krishna, because Krishna is so charming, so beautiful. Everything about Krishna is just completely stunning. It makes the devotees tremble. But most of the time they can only see Krishna for short periods of time, because Krishna's always running around. He's a little boy. And he's there one moment and then he's gone. And he goes with the cowherd boys, and they're playing in the forest. And his mother and father, they have to wait until evening to see him. And the gopis, the young cowherd girls, they're pining to see Krishna. They get to see Krishna, but they have to see him in secret. and it's kind of always a touchy situation for them to see Krishna. They have to glance from the side, and they have to look sort of they have to be prim and proper in public and so on. But now, finally, Krishna is there, just 360 degrees. They can see him from all sides. They can, not like on the altar, you see only the front. They can see all sides of Krishna, and he doesn't move. And all the time he smiles. And sometimes he's joking also with the cowherd boys. All of this for 7 days. And by this time, Indra kind of figures out, as we say in English, whoops. How do you say in Dutch? Oei. Oei.
Amai.
Oh my.
Also.
My. Yeah. Yeah. I spent some time in Hong Kong where they speak Kwantung Hua, or Cantonese, and they say, Hi-ya!
Sounds very convincing.
So Indra was going, Hi-ya!
In all the different languages.
Yeah. No, he's probably saying other things as well. But he realizes he's made a mistake, so he calls his Samvartika clouds to come back. And they all come back, and the sun shines again, and everything's very nice. And then Krishna tells everyone, so, looks like the trouble's over. You can all go now. So, of course, by now they're kind of attached, or quite attached to be with Krishna, but they don't want him to be troubled anymore, and maybe he is hungry, so okay, they all come out from under the hill, and Krishna sets the hill back down, very, ever so gently and ever so perfectly, in such a way that it's as if the hill was not moved at all. He puts it exactly where it was before. Well, that same hill is now there in Braja, and that same hill you can circumambulate. That's what the devotees do in order to honor Govardhana, is to walk around. Some people don't walk around Govardhana. They do obeisance around, which means they'll do what's called dandavat vandanam, obeisance like a stick. They'll stretch out their hands like this, and then they'll move one body length forward. They'll stand up, and then again they'll go down, one body length forward. Like this, they'll go 22 kilometers around the hill. Some people, they collect 108 stones. Well, you'll see them, they'll have a little pile of stones next to them. They'll make obeisance. They'll take one stone and they'll put it here. And then they'll get up and they'll go back and they'll take another stone. And again on their stomach, obeisance, they'll put that stone 108 times. And then they will move one body length forward. And then they'll continue like that. I don't know how many months or years it takes to do a complete Govardhan parikrama that way. But they want to show their devotion. And also, I've never tried it myself. You'll see some people, they have knee pads, because up and down, it's not so easy. But I've heard it's great for developing one quality which we want to develop as devotees of Krishna, and that is humility. It's very good for humility, because you realize more and more how small we are. Okay, so all of this goes on, and then everything is over and everyone's sort of applauding Krishna, Jai Krishna. But now Indra's worried. He knows he's made a mistake, and he knows there's going to be a problem. So what to do? Well, eventually he gets good advice from his priest, Brihaspati. The thing to do is to come to Krishna together with a devotee of Krishna. And maybe the best would be that you take Surabhi. Who is Surabhi? Surabhi is the heavenly cow, actually residing in Goloka. So Indra comes and persuades Krishna to allow Indra to apologize. In the Bhagavatam, there's a whole chapter of prayers that he offers to Krishna at this time. Very nice prayers. And Krishna finally forgives him, but then what's interesting is that at this point Krishna becomes, so to say, installed. He becomes consecrated. He becomes consecrated as the Lord of the cows. There's a name for Krishna that you may know. It's not Gopal, Govinda. Yes, Krishna is Govinda. From the day that Indra worshipped Krishna with the demigods and with Surabhi, from that day he was crowned as the king of the cows, the Lord of the cows. So that is Govinda. Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. You'll hear devotees chanting Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. So what is all of this? What can we learn from this? Well, one thing we can learn is what Indra learned about humility. Another thing we can learn is from what Nanda Maharaj learned. What do you suppose Nanda Maharaj learned from this? Nanda Maharaj learned to have trust in Krishna. He already had trust, therefore he accepted Krishna's proposal. There was something uncertain that was going to, what's going to happen if we don't worship Indra? Another thing we can learn is that if we trust in Krishna, in order to take shelter of Krishna, we might have to take some risk. Krishna was proposing to the residents of Vrindavan, we don't need to do this Indra puja, we can worship Govardhana Hill. Yes, but we've never done this before. What's going to happen? We don't know what's going to happen. Krishna says, don't worry, it'll be okay. But then, it wasn't really okay, was it, initially? Big trouble. But then, Krishna gave shelter. So, when we are in a situation where we are being challenged that we should take shelter of the Lord, to do so may require that we take a little risk. But if we take that risk, we don't know what is going to happen. But we say, okay, Krishna, this is your desire, let me do something as you would have me do, rather than what I always want to do, instead of my own invention of what to do. Let me do what Krishna wants me to do. What will happen? I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, let's see what happens. Then that is the opportunity to grow spiritually. That's when we're actually going to grow spiritually. And yes, there very well could be trouble as a result of taking that risk. Just as when Indra was neglected, he decided to punish the residents of Vrindavan. At first it was extremely stressful for everyone. But then what did that stress, what did that anxiety prompt them to do? What did it lead them to do? It led them to call out, Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho, save us. So that's a lesson. And that requires a bit of courage. Courage means, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, I don't know how it's going to happen, but let me do it for Krishna. So when Krishna gives an opportunity to serve, we may think, no, I can't do it because of, and then we'll have lots and lots of reasons why not to serve Krishna, right? Reason number 1, reason number 2, reason number 3, we get many, many reasons why not to serve Krishna. Lots of good reasons, right? So many good reasons. So many good reasons. And then if we finally conclude, okay, no surrender to Krishna because I've got lots of reasons not to, then Krishna says, okay, have it your way. Krishna is very, very, very patient. Very, very patient. He'll let us go on in our condition of safety. We like our comfort zone, don't we? We all have our little comfort zones. You know this expression? Comfort zone. Yeah. To come closer to Krishna means actually we need to venture out beyond our comfort zone. That's needed. Doesn't mean there won't be any comfort zone anymore. That's still there, but we have to have a little courage to step outside, and that then gives opportunity for Krishna to show us. That's when Krishna reveals himself.
Wow.
Krishna reveals himself when we take some little risk for him. Not necessarily a big risk, little risk. Just to speak to another person. Have you heard of Krishna? Let me tell you something about Krishna. We may say, no, I don't tell anyone because what will they think of me? What will they think? Who cares what they will think? Let me say something about Krishna. That is also kirtan, or as I was saying in the beginning, sankirtan. Kalim sa bhajayantyarya gunagya saramamena yatra sankirtanena eva sarvasvarta avilabhyate. All your arthas, all your values will be fulfilled. Sankirtanena eva. Only by this sankirtan. So, each of us have all kinds of amazing shaktis. Did you know that you have shakti? Do you know what shakti is? Shakti is power, yeah. So one power that we all have is power to speak. Right? I mentioned Hong Kong. People in Hong Kong really like to talk. Not so much here in Belgium. No, here you're more thoughtful, more reflective.
Some exceptions out there.
More quiet. Northern European countries, people are more quiet. We don't say what we think, we just think what we think. And yeah. But Krishna gives us this power of speech. How to use this power of speech? in a good way? What can we do with our power of speech that would really be beneficial for ourselves and for others? That's what Sankirtan is. It doesn't mean only, it means for us very prominently simply chanting Krishna's names because it's quite simple, right? Chanting Hare Krishna is very simple, although most people don't seem to think so. Yesterday we went out on what's the big walking street called? The Meer. Meer. Yes. And so many hundreds and thousands of people are coming and going. And they're all looking very serious about what they're doing. And we were having a good time chanting, singing Hare Krishna, and some people are looking at us like, wow, those silly people, they're so silly. And we are thinking, yes, we're very silly. But we're silly in a way which makes us a lot more happy than everyone else. But this makes us sad as well, that people are not, seeing, oh yeah, if I would just chant the names of the Lord, I would be happy. I wouldn't be distracted. I wouldn't depend on all these things. I'm always amazed whenever I do kirtan sankirtan on shopping streets, how many shops are full of clothes. It's either clothes or shoes. Seems like it's clothes, shoes, clothes, bags, clothes, shoes, clothes, suitcases. And then, of course, it's Antwerp, so then diamonds, right? How much, how many clothes do you need before you're sufficiently clothed? I'm amazed that there's so much clothes business. Do any of you do clothing business? Are any of you selling?
Antwerp is a city of fashion.
Oh, it's a city of fashion. Okay.
Famous for fashion.
Yes, but every other big city, you just see
everywhere.
clothes
Same.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
They're clothes from Antwerp.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, the point is that we have this power of speech, and how are we using it? What are we doing with our power of speech? So one of the things that we learn in spiritual life is how to engage our power of speech in a way which is liberating rather than minding. Most of what we do with our power of speech is simply tying us down more, making us more and more burdened. But we can liberate ourselves, we can liberate others by our speech. What do you think? Is that possible? Some say yes, some say I don't know, some say maybe.
Who said we don't know? You say that?
Okay. Well, I think I was supposed to stop 15 minutes ago, but I kind of kept going, so I don't want to hold the show back. Unless there's some burning question about something that we talked about.
We could listen the whole continually with time now, but we could listen continually.
Maybe I should end with this nice prayer from, this is from the Gopis in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is not in the Govardhana Leela, this comes before, 3 chapters before. And the Gopis are seeing Krishna and they're singing about him. and they're admiring Krishna and they're admiring his flute. But they're also speaking about all the different qualities. So they say, Hantaya Madhir Abala Haridasa Varya Tvam Rama Krishna Charana Sparasha Pramodha Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayos Tayoryat Paniya Suyavasa Kandara Kandamulai. They're actually in this verse, they're praising Govardhan. They say, Govardhan, you are Haridasa Varya. You are the best of the servants of Hari, of Krishna. And yet Rama Krishna Charana Sparasha Pramodha. Because Rama and Krishna, in this case Rama means Balarama, they're always running around on you, on top of you, Charana. And so Sparasha, their feet are touching you. And as a result, Pramodha, you are ecstatic, feeling Krishna's feet on your back. Manang tanoti. And so you extend your appreciation of Krishna sahago ganayoho, together with all of the cows, Krishna, Rama, and all of the cows. You offer your respect to them. But how do you do that? Paniya Suyavasa Kandara Kandamulai. You offer them your water, your very nice, sweet, fresh grass, which the cows eat, the nice caves where Krishna can sneak inside and meet the gopis, and kandamula, and you also offer, it's a certain kind of root called kandamula, which apparently tastes very, very nice, special kind of roots. So the gopis are saying you offer all of these nice things for Krishna and for Balaram and for the cows, and in this way you are worshipping them. So Govardhan Puja is going on in many different ways simultaneously. There's the residents of Braja worshipping Govardhan. There's Govardhan worshipping Krishna. There's Krishna worshipping Krishna. And finally at the end there's Indra worshipping Krishna. And all of this is a festival, an utsava. So we reenact, so to say, this festival without the rain. You'll be happy to know you didn't have to bring your umbrellas, but we celebrate this. It's a festival of abundance. There's different sorts of festival, and this is a festival of abundance. It's said that all living beings are to be fed with the prasad that's offered, the annakuta. Everything should then be distributed to everyone, not just human beings, but also the animals. So if there's any dogs or cats out on the street, we should call them in. Any cows? No. Elephants? Any giraffes wandering around on the streets of Antwerp? You could go to the zoo, but I don't think they'll let you feed the animals. Anyway, we can also imagine, we can meditate when we're doing this.
Two-legged animals you can find.
Yes, the two-legged beasts. Yes. Right. Well, thank you all for your kind attention, and let's proceed, shall we? Bolo Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai, Shri Laddu Gopal ki Jai, Shri Yashoda Damodara ki Jai, Gaur Premanande ki Jai. Namaskaram. Ananda Kunde Svado Shami Natanta Atya Prayanta Ananda Kunde Svado Shami Natanta Ananda Kunde Svado Shami Natanta Atya Prayanta Yeshika, Yesha, Pakadita, Guna Premata,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Jaya Hare गिरिराज महाराज की बोलो श्री गिरिराज महाराज की श्री गोवर्धन पूजा महामहोत्सव की जय विश्वभार परमहंस हरिराज Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Samstapakacharya Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Vishnu Ashtottara Sadashi Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Ramacharya Shila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prince Kamal Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Radha Shiva Sati Gaura Bhakta Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopika Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Shri Vrindavan Dana Ki Shri Navati Maya Dana Ki Shri Jagannatha Puri Dana Ki Shri Dwaraka Dana Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Tulasi Maharani Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Shri Harinam Sankirtana Ki Shri Harinam Sankirtana Ki Shri Giri Govardhana Ki Shri Giridhari Maharaja Ki Nitai Gaura Premanande All glories to you, Sambhavati. All glories to you, Sambhavati. All glories to you, Sambhavati. All glories